What's up, boys? Today I'm gonna be going over just how to basically set up some camera locking. Just a really simple guide, but I can't really build camera locking for you because unlike like a nose cone example or something where it just clips everything together, camera locking has so many different uses that like everything would be specialized. The main things you need to know, there's basically only a couple things you need to know. One, magnet. Make sure you have this, whatever keybind this is what you're going to press to activate your magnet. And you want to activate your magnet, you could activate it before or like right after something clips together, and then it would lock it in place. Another thing is, the goal for magnet locking, that's what you call it. The goal for this to work is you want to push something against the magnet or get something as close as you can. You want to minimize this range because this range is always going to be active. If you boost the range to the maximum, the moment an extra spring or something comes within a mile distance of this, it's going to lock in place to your build, and you don't want that. So you want this to be on the smallest range possible, which means you want this, whatever part you're magnet locking, to be as close to the magnet as possible. The whole point of magnet locking is to basically clip together your angle you want, and then angle it in whatever way you want, push it against the magnet, and then have the magnet grab onto this, which means if you have a landing gear, you can angle all the parts of your landing gear together, clip a bunch of parts for a piece of landing gear together, push it up against a magnet that can turn, and now you have landing gear that you can pull up and down that looks really nice, instead of like blocky old stuff. So in this example, I'm going to start off by showing you how I set this up. So there's a couple things. The piece that has the magnet connected to it, I recommend having physics off on it. I mean, you need it anchored, but make sure this one's physics off because you want this magnet block to really just be stuck there. However, for the other one, it's going to have physics on, even though I'd prefer if it didn't, just because you're turning stuff, and if it has physics on, it doesn't want to move. Like, it doesn't want to, these motors won't want to turn. So what you need to do is for me, I start off by holding 1. This angles all the angles I want, and I know it bobs up and down, but once I let go, the bobbing goes away. So number 1, I'm using motor 2 angling. Pretty simple. I have a straightforward design. I might go over it really quick after this, but in a future video for motor 2 angling. So this is just, it's angling everything in the way I want. Number 2 clips it and brings it close enough for the magnet to get a nice hold on it. Make sure if you're using things like trails that you have that they're connected to a half block or like a camera or something that the magnet can get a good grip on, because it doesn't like to get to grab onto trails. So I have them connected to half blocks. Now number 3, I'm going to activate the magnet, and you'll know it works if you see it try to pull on your build a bit, and then you'll see the build bounce back into some place, and then you'll know, now I know it's locked. So now I'm going to click number 4. This is going to clip this and disconnect to this, and it also turns off my anchored block, and now I basically have this angled thing. And the benefit of this, that normal locking, normal motor locking and angle locking, and even camera locking don't have some extent, is camera locking could do this, but you'd have big cameras here or here. But I mean, even if you try to do it with camera locking, like, you wouldn't be able to line up everything as easily. Like, camera locking has a lot more limitations. Magnet locking, you could turn this entire thing. In order to do that with camera locking or angle locking, you'd have a massive camera lock bunch over here connected by like a motor 2 over here. For this, all you have to do, add 1 motor 2 under the magnet, and then have it like a piece of TNT or disconnector hold that motor 2 in the upright position. And then with key number 4, you could detach it all at the same time, and then you could have this turn up and down. Makes it great for opening and closing canopies to some extent. Also, if you really want to be careful with your magnet locking, you could add extra magnets pointing down, and then you could set all the settings together on each of you could add some magnets here on these like first parts, and then you could set all of the settings to magnets only, and that would basically prevent any springs or extra things from getting stuck to it. But yeah, it may seem difficult at first, but in order to think about, like, you got to think about camera locking. So I guess maybe I'll do a quick build montage. I'm gonna do a quick build montage of a landing gear. I guess I'll probably speed this footage up. But what I'm basically gonna do is I'm gonna show you how to go through the process of thinking about camera locking and building something. So you just start off with I recommend starting off with your magnet actually. So our magnet part it's gonna be landing gear, so it's gonna go aim top down, and we're starting off with our base. So we're gonna click on our magnet. We're gonna make sure this base landing gear, it's set to whatever key. It's basically the last key you're pressing, and this one has physics off. So this is just gonna keep our magnet in place. Next step, we want this little piece of landing gear to turn, right? Well, we're gonna add a nice little motor on there. Because without a motor we can't turn anything. Then we slap on our magnet. Motor settings don't really matter. We'll just use, this is gonna be landing gear, so we'll pretend it's G equals. Make sure servo toggles on. We're turning this 90 degrees up, and we're gonna lock it like this. And make sure we're gonna make sure our range on our magnet minimum. We want our strength to the maximum. Normally, I use 3 to lock my magnets. You could actually use keypad. Keypad would probably be better for this, but I'm using simpler keys so you guys can get an idea of the order of which you activate things. Then toggle, loose parts only. We want to lock to any part. We don't care if it's loose or not. And then we're going to go on super strength. Now that this is done, what you're going to do next, we're going to start making our landing gear. So we're going to do this, let's say, we're going to use PvP blocks. Even though I use disconnectors on this one, it was an example to show you can't do this without any PvP blocks. This can work in non-PvP servers. However, springs are a pain. Disconnectors leave this back panel part or this front part, and you normally don't want those. And I mean, springs are a pain because they can get stuck in all this locking. So no bueno. You can use a camera to connect it, and then connect to like a spring if you really want to try. But I'm just gonna use PvP blocks to simplify it. So like TNT. But we're gonna start off by doing. Let's first imagine how we want this camera, what this to look like. What if we had? I'm gonna use a similar thing to what I did before. I want 2 different wheels. Let's say we have 2 different half block wheels. We want them both to turn. So we want something like this, but we want them both to be able to turn independently, or turn together. Normally, well, we can't really do that. If we put a motor here, in order to connect it to anything, only one of them would turn, and we want both of them to turn. So we're gonna do something special. So let me start off by putting this on like fabric. These are gonna be some fabric wheels, and then we're gonna have another little fabric wheel over here, and maybe we can make like out of sparklers. We can make our little stock of the thing, but let's make sure it's centered under this, because we're just going to be clipping this up next to this and then connecting. Also, another thing to remember, you're going to want to do this on your little magnet lock build thing. So this is you need to hold your this is basically to hold our magnet in place while we're trying to set it up. So maybe this will probably be, this is going to be 4. It's going to be the last thing we're going to click. Now what we're going to do, down here, returning to this area, we're going to have both of these, and these are just going to be completely off because they're just going to be turning. Now, actually, we might have a little, actually no, because I thought they might grab onto the wheels, but I forgot that what we're effectively going to be doing is having like a part come up, and then this part will want to attach to the magnet, so these parts can still turn freely. We could have functions and stuff like that. Fine. So now what we're going to do, we're going to have a little, what we can do, we need one part, we need to somehow connect this to there, so we can use a little explosive block for now. And these explosive blocks are, I think we'll probably use 4 to, well, I mean, normally you want to, yeah, we're going to use 4. It's the final block, you're disconnecting it. You see how this one, I used 4 too, it's disconnecting everything. So we run this back out. Let's say we want both of our wheels angled slightly upwards. Maybe we want it to look kind of cool for our little thing. So I'm not going to use motor 2 locking yet, just because I want to keep things simple. But so we'll have our 2 little motors. We're going to set them to, we will use 1 to turn them downwards. So we'll figure this out eventually, but we'll have them on set like 0.5 or something. We'll test to figure out which angle they'll turn, but both of these will turn in slightly, and then maybe we can have, what do we want? Maybe we want, what's something that would make these look nice? We could add like a little, I mean, we want a stock on them, but we also need something that goes up above them. So for now, we'll run some trails equals 0, 0. Trails, just some little trails. and then we'll connect it to a camera. And what's going to happen is these are going to angle together until their cameras touch, and then once that happens, they're going to be clipped up one block into this magnet, and then the magnet's going to lock onto these, because we need something. The magnet won't magically know to grab onto this very specific base plate part and then not touch anything else on the wheel, because if I would say, you might say, why not just boost it? My wheels won't turn. The magnet would lock onto them. So what we're doing, we're adding these little cameras as a little anchor point for the magnet to grab on. So now that we have our little grippy grabby point, let's see, so we need to also clip these together. So let's say we want them both half a block together. Maybe it's kind of wide. Maybe we won't go for such a thin, close design, I guess, because if we clip them a block and a half, we have to use a piston to offset, and that gets confusing. So let's add our actually no, because we're gonna have to clip this up one, remember? So let's say we'll add our little motor locking here. This is we're gonna go upwards with this, and then we're gonna have our little extra. I could use PVP blocks by using disconnector. This is gonna be the second thing done. You see, like intermediate motor locking for helping to get these angles. You're gonna want to have like number 2 on. So in this or the second key you're gonna press. First key to angle them, second key to clip them together, third key to activate your magnet, and fourth key to drop and disconnect everything. Also, you may want to keep this part. You can have this piece. I recommend keeping this piece's like thing something you're never gonna press, unless if it gets in the way of your build. Like if you're trying to go forward and you realize your build is bumping into it. Well, then if that's the case, you could, once it's clipped down, you could put some like rocket thrusters maybe and try to blast this piece off the edge of the map or something like that. Or you could try to just push it out of the way with your build and then undo it. But I would recommend keeping that always on for the most part. So then I'm gonna have this here. Physics, we'll have a key we'll never press, and then now we're starting to do good for the most part. So now what we need to do is, let's see. So let's say we want a middle part of this. Let's see, we want some sparklers, some nice little sparklers as like the center part of our landing gear. So we'll go look for the sparklers. I rarely use these, so I forgot where they are. Sparklers, there you are. We're gonna set it forward because I think sparklers like to bug a lot. But we're also gonna start off these sparklers back one, so I can clip them forward after this angles. So these 2 parts angle together. We can have like a little trail that goes under and connects to something over here to pull these forward. And then once again, we're gonna have a camera at the top of it. So now what we're gonna do, we need something to hold these sparklers together. So we're gonna put something like that there. Next thing we're gonna do, grab a little trail. I mean, not trail, text. We're gonna run this under here, and it's just gonna be like this. And then we'll have a little. I would like this to be clipped up with the rest of this, but because the rest of these parts are gonna be clipped up one, so we do want that to happen to this too. The problem is it's too high, so we can do something very simple to set this up again. You can simply, you have, the good thing about magnet locking is there's so much room to mess around with. You can build anything you want as long as it likes to grab onto the magnet. So now we're gonna grab onto this again. We'll make our little, this is gonna clip everything up after everything's done. Disconnectors here. I mean that goes there. We'll grab on this like this. Yeah, but we need something to delay this, so I'm just going to add a little disconnector above this, and then we can connect them to it with our nice little trails or text if we wanted, but this will work. So now we have the majority of our thing, and the one downside to magnet lock, it's very trial and error oriented is what I would say. Why doesn't my thing want to clip? I'm gonna have to add an extra magnet. I'm gonna have to slightly increase the range. I'm gonna have to slightly decrease the range if it's grabbing too much. So that is something to keep note of. Let's put our little main pilot seat over here. Make sure magnets likes to work. Okay. So step 1, we're gonna have one. Oh gosh, I realized I add some cameras. It looks like the one on this side works, the one on the other side does not want to work. So we're going to switch this one, And then what we're going to do next is, let's see, we want to, what are we going to do? So let me think. We need, I realized we had cameras, so we're going to go configure equals, configure equals, configure equals. We don't want to press those cameras, and that's one of the downsides to using 1, 2, 3, but let's see. So now we can hold 1, they'll angle together. Then this is locked, and then we can click 2 to bring them together. And then we can click on 3 to lock it. Oh, and did you see it move up, then lock in place? That means it should be set now. Number 4. And now we basically have our little, give me a sec. I think I might, oh, it's, you know what? I forgot it. You see, we made one small mistake. One minor lapse in judgment. I'm going to keep this one on, actually, so we can see the landing gear turning. But you see what we missed? This is still connected to this. Like, after it, like, we forgot to add a little TNT here to stop us from grabbing onto it. So we can add 2 TNT here, make sure the same as this. And now let's try this again. 1 to angle together. 2 to clip everything into place. 3 to grab on, and you'll see it move and then stop moving slightly. 4 to discombobulate everything, basically. And then G to, oh, I forgot. Give me a sec, I forgot this had no physics. Yeah, we're gonna have to turn physics on for this to work, which will make everything a little bit more complicated, but since it's landing gear, it has to have that on. So, actually, wait. We have to, guys. This is what I mean by trial and error. We'll have we'll add 2 extra keys. We'll add 5 and 6. So 5 will turn this off, and 6. Well, actually, this physics one will always be on. So actually, when I click 4, we'll turn this off, but this one will still be there, so I can turn that. But it seems like the issue is, oh, I accidentally deleted. It isn't connecting to the very top. So this will connect to the very top now because we were dropping this magnet and it was making it so it couldn't initially get that good hold on it. So let's try this again. One last time. Let's hope this works. 1, 2, 3, 4, G, and C. We have our working landing gear. See how it wants to turn? Let's see if we can. Well, let me. It wants to turn forward. Let me turn it backwards really quick to get a nice little thing, and we can just end on this thing. So 1. Oh gosh, this thing really likes to bug. I would not recommend. I probably should just use basic old angle lock and not motor 2 locking, because motor 2 lock really doesn't appear to like that. But 1, 2 into place. 3 activate magnet. 4 disconnect everything. Disconnect this to let this thing turn, and then G. We have our working landing gear. And this is the best kind of stuff for magnet lock. Stuff that can turn. You don't have to worry about hiding stuff that you really don't want any motor locking attached to. You could use it for wheels, but I'd recommend offset locking. It's a little bit more reliable and easier to come for beginners. When I first started magnet locking, I was completely confused. But the best thing is to take magnet locking one step at a time. Don't try to start off with a very big project. If you want to get into magnet locking, start off with something like what I'm doing. Make a very simple landing gear with only a couple moving parts that you want to have. But yeah, so you could actually use this as a tutorial if you were trying to build if you wanted this specific landing gear. I don't know. I mean, this isn't really anything that special. It's just a basic magnet lock, but if you really want to spice it up, you could add extra signs for lights or something, or add a little wing light blocks. You could try to you could turn these into full blocks and add extra signs on the front that show or whatever you want. You could do a lot with this kind of stuff. So but yeah, that's the big benefit of magnet locking. Moving parts, if you have canopies open shutting, you could also use. But yeah, this is how I would do it. One step, just remember, you need something to rub up against your magnet, and then you remember the keybind. The keybinds: toggle, weld, super strength, max strength, minimum range. and then whatever key you want, make sure it's toggled, because you don't have to hold the weld key down for the entire time you spawn your build. But yeah, as long as these magnets push up against this, make sure your magnet blocks initial thing is just completely anchored. Yeah, and you should be pretty good going off of that. If you just seen, I built it because I wanted you guys to see like the thought process of how you do magnet lock. Very straightforward. Just give your do whatever you want, build it, make sure you clip it together, and that each moving part has a camera that is as close as possible to that magnet. And it seems, remember, magnet you can think of it as magnet anchored piece that isn't that no magnet physics on. So like complete anchor for your magnet, no physics, but for physics you're gonna want physics for the part that's angling. But yeah, that's all my thoughts. That's basically everything I know about magnet locking right now. There might be a slightly better keybind. If any of you guys are like magnet locking connoisseurs, you could post that in the thing and I could pin your comment if there's like a slightly better keybind. Maybe you don't need as much strength, I'm not sure. I still haven't experimented that much. But this is, for me, like the first time I've been able to get something like that actually works pretty straight off the bat. But yeah, like, comment, subscribe. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next video. Bye bye.